Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys, we are live. This is the first, I think, collab. So I'll say this is the first collaborative pitch event that we've had. This is Founders Pack, and we're collaborated with our friends at Crowdsolve for the first ever, how do we call this, Climatetech Pitch Event? Is that kind of the idea, Leah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. All right, so we have 5 companies today and 3 judges, which is pretty much our standard format. And the way you get there is you invite 8 pitch companies. So first of all, I'll just introduce Leah Bose from Crowdsolve. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks so much for having us. Super excited to be here.
No problem. Do you have anything you want to kind of preempt or kind of explain about the pitch event today?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So just a little context, Crowdsolve is a pre-accelerator platform for early stage climate and impact startups. And we offer a software platform for founders to access curriculum, community, and capital. And then we also offer programming as well. And so today we will be hearing from our 5 founders who went through our first boot camp. It was an Ideate boot camp. So some of these founders came to us with an idea just 4 weeks ago, and here they are today. Some have been working on their ideas for a little bit longer than that, so you'll see a variety of folks at different stages, but generally our 5 global founders working on climate solutions are in the Ideate-ish stage. And so, yeah, we're just super excited to do this with you today, Michael, and Founders Pack and the Founders Pack audience. And thanks to the judges as well for being here. We have Nicole and Kyle and Rio. Nicole and Kyle are mentors for the program, and then Rio is with Antler, a referral partner for Crowdsolve as well. So we partner with accelerators and mentors and all the support systems that early stage founders need to help get their ideas off the ground. So thanks again, Michael. Super excited to hear our founders pitch.
Me too. All right. Do the judges have anything they want to introduce about themselves, or is that a good enough introduction? Sure, whatever. All right, why don't we do this? Why don't we ask Kyle Barrios, just maybe give a brief introduction about yourself and what you're working on.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Kyle Barrios. Happy to be here. Former consultant at Deloitte in New York, and now happy to be in Boulder, Colorado, and consulting with startups. Thank you.
Super. All right, Nicole, and I think your last name, I'm saying it right, is Derry. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for allowing me to participate today. My name is Nicole Derry, either way. And I'm the founder of Alelo Design, which is a front-end custom, interactive, and UX design agency that serves climate tech companies. Also have some consulting background as well at EY. So very happy to be here with you all.
Awesome. And last but never least is Rio Hodges. Rio, how are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Rio. I'm a early stage venture capital investor at Antler. We're a global pre-seed venture capital firm with, I think we're up and running in 25 cities at this point, but I'm based in Boulder, Colorado as well. And so we invest at kind of the earliest stages and take founders through, what we call an Antler residency here in the US in 3 locations. So happy to be here and thanks for having me.
Amazing. All right. So without much further ado here, what we're going to do is we're going to pull one by one the pitch companies up. The first founder is Precious, and I think it's Mafunga. Is that the correct way to pronounce your name? Did I do an amazing job of pronouncing your last name? Or okay, and I think I have your slides for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pin you to Solo. Oh, look at that. And then we're going to present your pitch deck. Let's see if that worked. Where's the deck? Oh, there it is. Look at that. All right, Precious, how are you doing? You ready to pitch?
Yes, I'm doing good. I'm very ready to pitch.
And then, I don't know, the easiest way to do this, since I have control of your slides, is just maybe if I don't advance it correctly, just say next.
Okay, great.
Super. All right, so the floor is over to you. Please feel free to begin.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Precious Mafunga. I'm a founder of Solisi Bioenergy. imagine what life will be like living without electricity. I guess life is going to be horrible. I represent a community in Malawi that live without access to clean energy. And why? We have a vision. We believe that all little communities deserve access to energy so that they can achieve their full potential. Our mission, we empower communities to use proven and tested source of energy for their day-to-day activities. The problem, in Malawi, we have a very low national electrification that is estimated at 12.4%, and this is the lowest in the SADC region. This is according to JICA 2022. And what are the challenges? We have low energy generation and the generation capacity by our utility company, insufficient transmission and distribution, frequent power outages, climate change such as Cyclone Anna and Cyclone Freddy that is caused havoc in Malawi. We have 15 million people that live in rural community. Out of this, 590,000 have got access to energy, representing 3.9%. So, what's the current? Due to this problem, majority of these are forced to use battery, candles, firewood, and charcoal for cooking and lighting. So, what's the solution to this? We believe by installing rural integrated mini solar grid will provide a sure way where a community will be able to generate their own energy for use. What's the benefits of this program? Our model, it means all users are going to buy electricity from our company. What are the benefits? The company, this, if implemented, is going to create over 4,000 households are going to have access to energy. Over 1,000 jobs will be created, increase income of the household, and also increase growth of SMEs while reducing carbon emission. We are looking for an investment capital of $250,000, which is going to cover capital expenditure, operation and maintenance, operation, and also operation expenses. This is going to, we are expecting to have a 16% investment return annually over the years. We have got a very excellent team that has so dynamic, very experienced, that is going to ensure that there is a success of this project. Thank you for your attention.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I think we lost one of our judges. Oh no. I think he's having some internet problems. Is he back or did we just totally lose him? I think we might have just lost him. All right. So why don't we do this? Rio, do you have any questions for Precious?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Precious, for the presentation. I'm curious, are there any benefits that the government of Malawi would give to a company that is interested in creating renewable energy within the country? Are there any incentives or subsidies, any sort of program or legislation around both electrifying communities as well as providing clean energy as a resource?
Yes. And IPP, that is the recent framework where the government provides like task incentives. They also provide licenses. Like usually there was only a single company that was producing electricity, but currently the government has changed some framework and laws to allow more private sectors to come in. So there is that incentive of tax holidays. There is an issue of that the license. The companies will be able to be given license for both generation and also distribution.
Got it. What do you think some of the biggest challenges are to getting this off the ground initially?
I think the biggest challenge is finance. So that's why we're looking for the money.
Got it. And then in terms of implementation, I'm curious what you think about, where you're getting solar panels from, how you're actually putting them on the ground, so on and so forth. Like, what are sort of the next immediate steps if you were to get funding to get these kind of solar arrays in place?
Okay, so if we get the funded, so the next step is to register the company, and then we'll do the feasibility studies and then apply for the license so that we can implement the project. Right?
Got it. And in terms of biggest cost to maintain, operate, continue to have sort of solar power running, what do you think some of the biggest
Yes.
costs are to this, aside from the solar panels themselves?
Like the biggest cost will be like I think the issue of maintenance, which is going to be like, because we never know what because we have got climate change and the like. Maybe in due course of operating the business, we may have a challenge whereby maybe due to maybe inflation and devaluation, maybe we may lead that some of the materials will require to be purchased outside Malawi.
Got it. Okay, awesome. I think those are the questions on my end.
Thank you.
Nicole, do you have any questions for Precious?
I do. Great presentation, Precious. Thanks so much for that. You mentioned, yeah, nice work. You mentioned that many of your potential users or customers don't currently have access to electricity, and the business model depends on them purchasing electricity. Is that correct?
Yes, that's very correct.
Okay. And do you have an understanding of what their capacity is for purchasing at rates that would enable you to support the business model?
Yes, I have, because these are most of currently the small, medium enterprises which are operating, like the shops. We have household. Some of them, the people are working class that are working, but they live in the rural community, so they don't have it. So I believe these have got the capacity that they can be able to buy. But at the same time, whenever there is an electricity, that's automatically going to create the anger or the age whereby people will be willing to have electricity, and they will, the benefits that it comes with electricity. So people will try as much as can to have access. Once they have the access to energy, because this is going to improve their economic activities, hence they'll be able to buy the electricity from us.
Okay. So you're not anticipating any difficulties with adoption, and you're hoping that early adoption will spread vis-a-vis social contagion. Is that what I'm hearing?
Can you come again on that?
It sounds like you feel like the adoption rate will be high. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. And you mentioned that this would also have the benefit of creating jobs as a secondary effect of electrifying these communities. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that works?
Okay, so in this case, it means, like, for example, there is I have access to electricity. It means if I'm a household, I'll be able to create other economic income generating activities. So those income generating activities will create job opportunities for the people. So for example, if I have got the electricity in my home, I'll be able to open a salon, and in this salon, I'll be able to hire people, most of them young ones, in this particular business. Therefore, if there is an assurance that once we have access to electricity, then there will be an opportunity for job creation.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Cool.
Welcome.
Kyle made it back in. So Kyle, do you have any questions for Precious? I don't know if you missed any of the pitch, but.
Yes, sorry about that. I was having technical problems getting double feedback on my initial session. Yeah, my question is along the lines of, again, on the customers, and what kind of surveys have you done to gather additional insights from the customers, or are you planning to do additional surveys? And the points you made about if someone has electricity, then they can do X, Y, Z. It would be good to have a little bit more data points along that. So I'm just wondering if you've done research with potential customers.
Wow. Okay. I think thank you for that observation. And the first and the foremost, this company is going to be the pilot project. Will start in an area where I have lived myself. So I've tried to talk with people before when I was thinking about this idea. So I had some phone calls and have some conversation with the possible business stakeholders, such as the business community and the household. But we need still to do more, because we still need to have, in terms of numbers, how many are going to be willing. So that customer research will still need to be conducted, because what I did was just a pilot. So I just went, okay, since I'm coming from the community, I know the economic profile of the people. I had talked to a few number of them, and they had given me a positive feedback. However, this is not enough. I'll still need to get the numbers, because for any business to grow, we need more customer, and this will come from the numbers of the people that we are going to engage with before implementation of the project.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Like the answer, and great presentation as well. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
All right, before I put you back into the green room, what I'm curious about this is, so I understand the plant part where you're building the panels and then probably storage, I would assume, of electricity. Like, I'm assuming that
Yes.
part of that is like batteries on site, like hard cell batteries,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
What is required for them to connect to that? And are they already wired for electricity inside of their home? I'm curious, or the business.
I think currently no. The assumption is, because since we will do a community engagement, once we install the mini grid, we have experts that are going to be doing the wiring to the customers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the arrangement.
And is it metered, or how does that work? Like, is it required that they have a meter, or they're just paying a fee to access it?
I think current arrangement is we need to have meters, because this will depend on the user. Because there are some users that are domestic, others are commercial. So I think the metering system will be different depending on the user. So it's gonna be metering.
Okay, so there's some sort of what we call a truck roll here, but it may not be trucks for wiring meters in, and then probably wiring in the house potentially, or the facility. But it might be as simple as one outlet, right? Like, if it's that's interesting. Okay, cool. All right, thank you very much. Great job. Thank you for kicking it off. We're going
Great job,
to
Precious. Whoa, nice work.
Precious is going back into the green room, and we're going to pull up James. James, hopefully you're ready to rock. How you doing, James?
I'm good.
Good. Do you have a presentation that you wanted to share? Or are you just going to present?
Please.
Do you know how to do that with the present button?
I can see here indicated screen from my computer, so let me just try and see.
Super.
I also sent you, Michael, his deck just in case.
Oh, you did? Did you
here.
email it to me?
Yep.
Oh, hold on. Oh, I do have it if you want me to do it.
Okay.
It's up to you. Is that easier if I do it, James?
Let me just see if I can be able to just put it on so that
I'm going to upload it just to give us a backup here. Okay, I can present it I can add it to the screen if you prefer.
oh, let me see if I can be able to see it, because
So that I can do that if you're good.
okay, just please do, because I can see mine is different from the way I'm used to.
It's much easier if I do it
Yeah.
again. All right. If I'm not moving them fast enough, just say next, and we'll get it going. All right, James, if you're ready, you can begin to present.
Success in agribusiness fodder, Nairobi, Kenya. Lately, the headlines have been showing the impacts of drought in East Africa. And the question is climate science providing solutions for the millions of farmers in East Africa cope with the current severe climate change predicted to become more regular? Over 100 million farmers are suffering from financial insecurity leading to poverty due to loss of livestock, and food insecurity due to failed crops. And this is magnified by soil degradation, declining productivity, and crop failure from the industrial intensive agriculture. This also further pushes the government to loss of forex from emergency food imports estimated at $25 billion. But farmers need help to solve these problems. And regenerative agriculture adaptation has already proven to work because multiple cropping provides additional benefits, helping farmers. Current pilot already demonstrating that traction, and we are targeting 500 farmers with less than 5 hectares who are getting direct benefits of 50% yield increase in corn and 30% increase yields in coffee when they intercrop with desmodium. And some farmers are already earning about $400 per year as extra income per hectare. And the bonus is coming in the form of circular economy promotion, where they are able to get biogas from the use of dung from the livestock and also biofertilizer. Additionally, this is helping domestic energy savings and saving of forest. Our target market is about 10 million livestock dairy farmers. We're having two primary sources of feed, mainly local fodder production, which has challenges in transport, storage, and handling, while the others purchase imported feed, competing food security at the rate of $5 billion per year, which is a huge forex loss. Our game plan and competitive advantage is intercropping legume fodder crop locally, where we are today, and training farmers, and transform the fodder into pellets, whereby we are looking for the pelletizing machine. And the quality is improved, minimizes cost of transport and storage and handling. Plus, it gives a profit margin of about $40 per ton, while there are savings on forex. Next steps and commercial scale. You have the power to partner with us, reach over 500,000 farmers, adapt climate science, and all we need is raise $310,000 to install pellet production system by 2024 to help farmers in pellet transformation. We have a patent pending for our formulation. So when we recruit about 500,000 farmers by 2025, we'll be able to help about 30% of them install biogas by 2025. And at the same time, we'll be able to get a market share of about 30%, where desmodium pellets will be replacing the commercial feeds being imported today. Our team, I have the leadership which combines field and technical expertise, because I have a PhD in environmental governance and management with huge experience in agribusiness training. My co-founder has an engineering background, which means machinery and those operations are easy to do. Help us make climate science work by connecting us with angel investors to make this a success. Also, this can be replicable in the whole of Africa, which has a great potential. Thank you very much.
Great job.
Woohoo! Nice work.
Okay, I'm going to start this time with Nicole. Do you have any questions for James?
Sure do. Great job, James. Thanks for the presentation. I just have a clarifying question and then a couple follow-ups. So is the primary customer in terms of who is going to be providing the revenue stream to your company, is that the farmers who are purchasing the pellets or the farmers who you are taking the materials from to create the pellets?
Thank you. The system is that we support the farmers to grow the fodder, which we purchase in raw form, transform it into pellets with a special formulation, and then sell to the more than 10 million livestock farmers who are relying on commercial feeds today, most of the ingredients being commercially imported at around $5 billion loss of forex every year.
And what form of support does that initial support to the farmers come in?
Supply them seedlings at the time of planting.
Okay, great. Can you tell me a little bit about the production system for developing those seedlings? Like tell me a little bit about how much material is required to be able to do the supporting that you need to get to your end product, essentially. And what are your plans for resourcing that?
Thank you. We are having a partnership with two institutions, which is a Farmers Training Center and the University of Nairobi, who have already accepted to give space once funds are available for the production of the seedlings. We are targeting at first about 500,000 hectares, whereby we produce the seedlings and enroll the farmers in a database, which is monitored with an IT system. For each of them, they enroll, and then we can be able to follow up on their progress. Once they are ready to harvest, they update their details of the system, and then we know that the fodder is ready for picking, for processing.
Okay, great. And you're looking for some support to develop the pellet production system. You need the machinery. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, the biggest bottleneck is the machinery, because it's not locally available. At the same time, it's also a bit expensive.
Okay, and do you have, if you are able to purchase the machinery, you'll then have the ability to produce the volume that you need to accomplish the sales required to be able to become financially viable? Like, is one machine going to do it, or is this an initial a starter production facility that will then expand over time?
Thank you. Currently, because we've already partnered with some farmers, the question they're asking is, since I cannot be able to use more than what I can consume, where do I take the rest? So the biggest challenge to them today is, if they expand their production, where is the market? Because they can see the benefits, but now if they expand to the production of more seedlings or more of the legume, the question is, will we provide them with an offtake so that they don't make it a loss?
Great. Great, thank you.
Kyle, do you have any questions for James?
Thank you, and great presentation, James. Very clear and well spoken and very well articulated, so thank you for that. My question is, in terms of the focus area right now that you're working with, what area does that encompass in East Africa? Is it just a particular region or a city, or how is that going? How is the market materializing right now?
Our first target is Kenya because there are more than 25 million livestock farmers. But mainly the biggest challenge for them is the dairy farmers because they have to import a lot of ingredients for their feed. And with the current challenge of Ukraine, the prices have become so unpredictable that they don't even know how to continue because it's becoming a loss-making entity. But now, if you can be able to have the local production of the fodder, we believe it will be able to reduce the competition between the grains for fodder and food. So definitely the prices will become better.
Okay, thank you for that. And in terms of the production of making the pellets, and are there any additional costs associated with that besides machinery and labor costs? Like, what is the additional cost that you anticipate with making these pellets using the machinery expected?
The additional cost, if you look at the raw materials, they'll cost about 30%. Labor, we are looking labor and the other utilities about 15%, and the issues of transportation to the markets about 10%. So the entire total cost we are seeing, it's not more than 65%. So we are able to get 35% as our net profit.
Great, thank you. And last question: what is the cost of that pellet making machine? What is the actual cost?
The pellet making machine is to be imported from China. They've already given us a quotation, but now there is the work of installation and also the housing where it will be. So the total cost is coming to about $300,000.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again. Thank you for the answers and great presentation.
Awesome. Rio, do you have any questions for James?
Yeah, just one on my end. I'm just curious, based on your presentation, it sounds like the ambition is to reach out to hundreds of thousands of farmers in the region and sort of the surrounding area. How do you think about going to market, positioning to those farmers? What do you kind of come to the table with and say these are sort of the benefits that you would get with your investment? Would just love to understand like what you think about when it comes to kind of the go-to-market strategy with farmers.
Thank you. The advantage that we have in Kenya is most of the farmers are already combined together to form cooperative societies. So once you are able to get access to the cooperative society management, they're able to give you the details and the contacts of the entire cooperative society. Some of them have upwards of members of 60,000 and others even up to 100,000. So our key point is getting real farmers who will be able to also serve as the training centers and also areas where they'll be disseminating information. One, on the benefits of using the legume fodder as a cover crop, and the others is for the milk farmers or the livestock farmers. They're also in cooperatives. So having a real farmer will be able to demonstrate and show the benefits of using the pellets. So we have already talked to some of them. Some of them are already doing small scale production, but they're asking if we do this big production and the issue about storage handling and all that is a challenge, how do we solve it? So that's why now it's becoming important to have the pelletizing machine because it will solve the handling, transportation, and storage issues. Thank you.
Got it. Okay. Thank you very much.
Terrific. All right, James, thank you so much. I'm going to put you back into the green.
Nice job, James. Woo!
Good work. I know we need like sound effects on this.
I know.
We might have
I'll
them.
make my own over here.
Or there's probably sound effects and I'm just missing it. But all right, so great work, judges. Great work, presenters. Next up is Igor. Let's pull Igor up. Hi, Igor. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Do you have a deck that you want to share?
Yeah, I can go ahead and share my screen.
Perfect. So I think what will happen is if you hit present, it'll probably pop up. I might have to add it to the screen after you do that. But let's just see what happens.
All right, give me one moment.
This is where we need some sound effects or some music.
I think, yeah, that's a good point. Just ban it.
Not to put you under any pressure to try and find that. Oh, yeah. There we
I knew
go.
somewhere in here there was music. I've done this in a month or two.
Takes the pressure off of Igor a little bit.
And presenters, if you want, I think if you hit present, what'll happen is it'll pop up in the green room and then we'll have to add it to the screen. So you can do that now. If you ever There's Igor's. I will stop the music. All right, Igor, if you are.
Everyone saying this?
Yep,
Yep.
Yordley. Okay, Igor,
Yordley,
the
that's
stage
right.
is all yours, sir, if you want to begin presenting.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. Hey, all. I'm Igor. I'm excited to talk to you about Yordley, an enterprise SaaS solution built for sustainability teams. So all too often, we're seeing headlines like this. There's pressure to take climate action. And businesses are especially feeling the pressure from investors and from customers. Businesses often respond poorly, sending the wrong message, or have no plan at all. They try to set goals, but most of the time, they're just stuck. In fact, 93% of businesses with net zero goals won't achieve them at all. 93%. The problem is that sustainability teams have a lot to manage, collecting data, running effective programs, and aligning with financial performance, to name a few. Most importantly, teams have to build trust within the organization to scale their work. Yordley aims to solve this. We realize that data is core to sustainability, so Yordley provides a visual on data and emissions across the business. That data leads to insights about targets and how to reach them. Verified reports and clear financial outcomes help them tell their story. And finally, by building credibility, sustainability teams can scale across the entire company. This virtuous cycle turns sustainability teams into superheroes. Yordley aims to solve this. Yordley is unique with its 3D map that helps teams identify problem areas and opportunities to collect more data. Yordley helps identify goals that are most important for operating sustainably while driving business growth. The platform is enabled by AI to forecast emissions. It also seamlessly integrates with existing business workflows. Our mission is simple: to empower teams to make sustainability core to the business and to put an end to teams falling short on their net zero goals. Yordley will operate in a market that's full of alternatives, but I believe Yordley can win 10% of the share, totaling $800 million, with the assumption that customers will pay around $50,000 for annual subscriptions. And lastly, a bit about me. I've led software products from ideation to expansion across SaaS startups in various industries. I've stood in the shoes of many, many customers, and I love making them successful. finally, tackling climate issues is a personal endeavor for me. And in addition to my day job, I lead Amazon's Sustainability Ambassador Group here in LA, which is lots of fun. What I'm looking for now are conversations with design partners, industry experts, and any of you who find this work interesting. So please reach out, and thanks so much for your time.
Terrific. Thank you, Igor.
Awesome job.
Thank you.
Nice work.
Kyle, do you have any questions for Igor?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Igor. Great presentation. Very quickly paced through those slides, so thank you for that. My question is, I guess you haven't done any pilots with actual companies yet. You're still in that ideate and proof stage. But if you could give me some insights as to what kind of work has already happened to validate your business model point.
Right. So no, correct. No product yet. We're certainly in ideation stage right now. The work's done so far is just conversations and really deeply understanding the problem that these sustainability teams are facing, identifying where some of those trends that businesses are taking, like investing more and more into these sustainability programs and hiring for the CSO, the Chief Sustainability Officer. So there's a lot of movement towards this that's validating a lot of the work here.
Great, thank you. And I agree. Data is the big savior here in terms of what companies have to deal with in terms of producing results, showing them to their stakeholders, visualizing what those mean, and obviously getting some traction in what their goals are. In terms of, do you have a wireframe or anything along the lines of what this application would look like and how it would integrate with various companies?
Yes. So what I showed you earlier was just a mock-up, actually generated by DALL-E, the AI image generating software. So what this essentially will look like is a SaaS application, very common model enterprise SaaS. But what's unique about Yordly is it will offer a visualization of the entire business and its value chain. So think of Google Maps for visualizing the data, for visualizing the emissions. It needs to be interactive. It needs to earn trust also with the customer through a visual way. Additionally, because this is a data-driven product, you can all imagine Yordly is also leaning quite heavily on data visualization and charts and whatnot, diagrams to help drive any of the messaging there.
Yeah, for sure. I agree on that. Thank you. I appreciate the presentation.
Thank you.
Terrific. Rio, do you have any questions for Igor?
Yeah, thanks, Igor. Question for you is when it comes to I guess when it comes to the product that deals with data, one problem that you end up having is where the data is clear and accurate on the other side of it, even prior to collecting, right? So I'm curious, within the industries that you want to narrow in on, where do you actually start? What type of company do you start with where the pain point is quite high, as well as the data has a level of accuracy that makes a product that you would kind of come to market or build to market more accurate itself, right? So I'm curious where you think about what types of companies to go for first.
Yeah. So the companies that are going to feel this the hardest, probably at first, are probably the heaviest emitters. So manufacturing is one example. Textiles, automakers, these kinds of businesses that have oftentimes large supply chains, which are complex and could have a lot of gaps in data and therefore a lot of missing pieces or lack of visibility. So I can see going after these businesses first to try and work with them to try and provide more visibility into their missions and how they can help them achieve these net zero goals.
Got it. What about like smaller or medium-sized companies that may be easier to sell into? Like, I'm curious why. I understand the larger companies definitely emit more, but they also tend to have buying processes, sales cycles, like internal investment that can be pretty hairy. I'm curious, like, is there a way in which you break into smaller or medium-sized companies where the buying process is easier, the return on measuring emissions might be lower, but allows you to create like a better fidelity product as you scale up to larger companies?
Yeah, certainly. There's a path towards small and medium-sized businesses as well, and they will have certain net zero goals in addition to larger companies. So that could be their ESG goals. There's probably a set of those companies that are builders and another set that are buyers. Yeah, it's one to explore. Absolutely.
Got it. And the last question for me is, aside from companies that just don't purely just don't measure, right? Which is, there's probably a large group of those companies. What are companies that are more in the forefront of measurement and sort of like data analysis on emissions and other things? What are they using today?
What are the alternatives you're asking?
Yeah, the one for the companies that are actually measuring and reporting.
Yeah. So the leaders in this space are folks like Watershed, Persephone, Sinai, Terra. They're doing a lot of this work around building climate programs for businesses. What I'm seeing though is that there are some gaps. There are gaps specifically in that virtuous cycle where sustainability teams are given everything they need to build the trust that's required to be successful within their organization.
Got it. Okay, awesome. I think that's it for me.
Thanks.
Nicole, do you have any questions for Igor?
I do. Igor, great presentation. Thank you so much for the clarity.
Thanks.
So I'd like to understand, and I think I'm hearing this, so let me know if that's incorrect, that there are a number of alternatives for the type of software platforms that people can use to assess and understand how they're doing on their sustainability goals, what their sustainability data looks like, et cetera. And you're planning to differentiate and capture that portion of the market share that you highlighted vis-a-vis the ability to show the entire business, like a holistic picture. Is that correct?
That's correct.
In terms of your differentiator? Okay.
Yes.
My next question is, how do you plan to turn all of the data that will be a part of that holistic picture into insight that's actionable? And will your platform contain recommendations?
So to start, the goal is to provide that data to the customer so that they could decide how to best leverage that. Over time, when we are able to point out those gaps, we're able to really go on this journey with the customer and earn their trust. We can start recommending places to look, or maybe areas to improve on. I think over time we can build that functionality in. The same is true of using AI for, say, forecasting emissions. This isn't something we wouldn't be doing right off the bat, but as we go on this journey with the customer, we can that can be part of their kind of expansion within the product.
Sure.
Does that answer your question?
It does. It answers the second part of my question. The first part of my question about turning data into insight, could you speak to that a little bit? I'm guessing a lot of folks are used to dealing with this type of data, but how are you actually helping them extract meaning from it?
Yeah, so for example, identifying gaps in that entire value chain or across the business. the insight there is you might not be collecting enough data in this part of your supply chain. We should do that for you. We should connect the right pieces there so that you have more insight into maybe the emissions of this part of the supply chain. If there is a complete picture, which almost always there isn't, the insights really come out of what are some of the outliers, what are parts of the business that are maybe emitting too much or using too much of a single resource. Those insights fall out of the analytics and can be flagged that way.
Okay, great. And last question. As you're pointing out these insights, are you intending for your MVP to focus on within a particular industry, for example, so that you have the ability to kind of draw a little bit of a narrow circle around what type of data you're looking at, and then working out those kinks and experimenting with providing those insights?
Yeah, sure. We'd like to be industry agnostic. We can start in some of those larger emitting industries, like manufacturing, like I mentioned, but ideally this is a problem that's being faced across multiple industries. Data is hard to understand and collect. This shouldn't be a problem to a specific industry, although some industries will feel more pain.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Igor. Igor, I'm going to put you back into
Thank you all.
Lovely green room if I can find you. There you are.
Oh, he's gone.
He's gone. You can still clap for him. He can hear you.
Oh, good.
You don't have to clap
Great
either.
job.
It's up to you.
We love clapping.
All right. So I believe next we have Katie Osborne. Oh man, look at that.
Wow, she's ready.
Ready. She learned fast. So if this were a competition, you just won the fastest to get to your deck. So that's where did it go? We actually have to have the people on. It would help.
Oh, there she is.
There we go.
Like I saw 2 Katie Osbornes, and I guess the first was the deck. So
It was just the deck. Oh, I'm at an advantage. I got to see other people first. So
there you go. All right, Katie, how are you doing today? And are you ready to roll?
I am. I'm excited. Okay, so I am Katie Osborne, and I am building the trashiest handmade marketplace. I grew up in a creative environment. My favorite summer pastime was writing and filming fake news shows with my siblings. And that served us well when my sisters and I started a creative studio where I developed a passion for small businesses. In 2016, when I had my daughter, my environmental concern turned into eco-anxiety, and I knew my skills would become my superpowers to help realize a more viable future for my little one. The US is on pace to run out of landfill space by the year 2036. As an avid dumpster diver, I saw the potential for these wasted materials to be repurposed, and I started to meet other upcycling makers who were also transforming trash. Turns out a vast majority of handmade makers want to have a positive impact on the world, but right now they feel lost in a sea of mass production, and the ones who are currently attempting more sustainable practices wish they had a home that was built just for them. On the other side of the market are consumers who want to support brands that align with their values, but they either don't know how to find them or they don't trust them. And there's this unmet desire for one-of-a-kind products that have a story. Nowhere Collective is bridging this gap. These resourceful creative artisans are an untapped asset in helping fight the climate crisis. And the most beautiful part is the products they make have a story to tell. We decided to test this two-sided marketplace idea with in-person markets, and our first 2 trashy markets exceeded our makers' expectations. Across the 45 makers who paid for a booth, they sold a total of $7,000 in sales. We're now prepared to build a more scalable version of this online, where our online marketplace will celebrate creative reuse and spotlight the makers' stories. And the long-term goal is to circularize the marketplace, where buyers become suppliers of reclaimed materials, creating a more transparent supply chain and helping us build the story for the products. I'm thrilled to be activating my powers of storytelling and community building alongside Jay with their technical and design skills and our incredible team of advisors. So I invite you all to smash trash with us, and I'm specifically looking for a co-founder and other advisors who have experience building co-ops and scaling online marketplaces. Thank you.
Great job.
Oh,
And a master of
job.
the removing slide deck. Look at this. Okay, we're going to start with Rio. Do you have any questions for Katie?
Yeah, thanks, Katie. So obviously, like, it's always the cold start problem when it comes to marketplaces, right? How do you build both sides of the marketplace? How do you build both supply and demand? And then how do you actually get them to interact with one another is a whole nother question. I'm curious, which side do you think is either harder to build or the one that is much more of the priority to build? Is it the supply side or is it the demand side? And how do you think about finding those folks and kind of activating them?
The supply side has proven to be the easiest to bring onto the platform. They are looking for alternatives. I'm focused mostly on the Etsy makers currently because they are struggling the most on Etsy, and they are actively searching for other options. The trashy markets have been the best way for me to find them, get them engaged, and then help them start selling so they can trust me and the brand to then start getting them online. The trashy markets have been also a really great way to find the consumers, for them to sign up on Eventbrite. I can capture their emails and then I can keep remarketing to them afterwards. But I do find the consumers will be the most difficult to attract.
Got it. And how do you actually think about customer acquisition when it comes to, like, is it content? Is it social media? Like, what are the ways in which you think, you kind of get the word out there?
So the storytelling piece of this will be the most important. The makers love talking about where they found the materials, who gave it to them, how they transformed it. And that's the people who are buying these products want something that have a story. So I'm hoping to help them tell the story. These makers also don't really love the business side of things. And so as someone who comes from advertising, I can help them figure out what the story is and how to populate that on different channels.
Cool. Have you ever heard of the Earthship community? Are you familiar with what an Earthship is by any chance? So Earthships are homes or like dwellings or tiny homes that are built mostly out of old materials,
Cool.
sides of airplanes and, metal from a dumpster and that kind of thing. And it's become this like growing community of folks that figure out how to build sustainable, like solo houses, right? With like water and so on and so forth, right? And using it over recycled materials could be an interesting community to tap into as well, because it's kind of what you're talking about, but on steroids a little bit, where they're trying to make their own homes out of that same thing. So anyway, it's worth taking a look at and breaking into that community.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Cool. I think that's it for me.
Super. Thank you, Rio. All right, Nicole, do you have any questions for Katie?
I do. Thanks, Katie. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Can you help me understand a little bit more of the detail around the business model? So will your makers be paying a fee to participate in the marketplace, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, so just like Etsy, it'd be 7% on every transaction. So it would be charged to the maker, but it would only be after someone has bought something.
Okay. And have you considered partnering with other existing marketplaces?
You mean like other online marketplaces?
Mm-hmm.
No, I haven't. I think, there's a lot of other handmade marketplaces that are popping up because Etsy is completely biffing it currently. And so there's the thing that I'm working on is helping ensure that the makers who are supplying products are actually hand making them. And that's the biggest concern on Etsy, is that the products are not truly handmade. And so there's sort of this struggle to figure out like how to keep mass production off a marketplace. And that's where the reclaimed materials, having the makers spotlight the reclaimed materials, inherently sort of implies that they are handmade and transformed.
Very interesting. Yeah, I'm curious if it'd be interesting to think about if you're able to generate some sort of verification process that's informal. If you could maybe also share that with other people who are struggling with that issue, maybe there's another like product
Yeah.
line or income stream there to think, just
Yeah.
ballpark playing with
Yeah.
ideas.
Oh, cool. Okay. Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that.
There's
Okay.
there's lots and lots of different, as I'm sure you're aware, lots and lots of different certifications for businesses like mine. Like I have a small business, and you can be 1% for the planet or net zero or climate neutral. And there's all these different ways you can sort of certify, but they all require a pretty heavy lift.
Yeah.
So for your makers, it might be really valuable to have an ability to demonstrate their commitment to their goals that isn't burdensome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And then lastly, I just had a question about if you'd had a chance to do any research with your customers and the makers around transitioning from an in-person marketplace to an online marketplace, since those are very different experiential services that you're providing. So I just wondered if you had any insight into that.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at right now, is trying to figure out, are the audiences who are coming to the trashy markets the same audience who would buy online, or are these two different groups? The makers seem to be overlapping quite a bit. So the makers who are on Etsy and participating in the market are just eager to be I have an online shop right now. It's not technically a marketplace. It's just me populating it with their products. But the next trashy market, I'm hoping to do kind of like a pre-market flash sale to see if we can't get people buying these products online before they sell them in person.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Super. Thank you for your questions, Nicole. Kyle, do you have any questions for Katie?
Sure. And I got to say, Nicole keeps taking my questions right before I go. But I had the same thought about taking a marketplace and then just shifting it online. So I'll change it a little bit in terms of, are all the makers have their own social profiles? What do you anticipate in this online marketplace for them to promote, for you to be able to promote their social channels as well, for there to be a community that can come in and then go to your online marketplace, but then perhaps go on to their social profiles outside of your platform? Have you given that any thought?
Yeah. So the thing I've heard from makers is what they don't really love is on Etsy, people say, oh, I bought it on Etsy, and then they get frustrated because Etsy didn't make it. The maker made it. And so Etsy doesn't really give them the space to tell their story. I mean, they're doing a little bit better, but my hope is to really create a more seamless experience between the events. The makers they host workshops a lot. They want to teach other people how to do this. So there's the online presence, the social media presence, the events they host, the events they're participating in, and just having that be like one-stop shop for them so they can tell their full story and then have other ways for people to engage with them beyond just the single transaction.
Great. Okay. Thank you. That was the only question I had. Great presentation again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Super. I'm going to chime in on something. So just for clarity. So right now you have like an e-commerce storefront, and you're acting as the market maker for it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're posting other people's goods.
Yeah.
Are you planning on building a marketplace? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yes. So my hope is in the next phase here to actually build a true marketplace where they're posting and have control over their own profile and products.
Got it. Okay. I'll give a shout out to one person that you should probably connect with, which is Paris from Tangram.
Cool.
And they're a Techstars company that we've actually been using to build its demo day, which is our home for demo day events, and it's got an MVP marketplace.
Awesome.
And they're the back end to it, and the front end flow. So you should, if you want a connection there, I can connect you to Paris. Alternatively, I know there is a marketplace application built on Shopify.
Yes.
And I think it's called Marketplacer is one of them. That's the one that I know of, but that's one option, because I think what you want to do is get technical out of the way as quickly as possible, because this is not a worthwhile technical problem to solve.
Right.
It's more the two-sided marketplace. It probably is your focus, right?
Yes. We
Yeah.
would love an out of the box platform that we can just build this on. And then and we've tried a couple and haven't been super successful
Yeah,
with,
it's challenging.
yeah. So
Because
there's
they get like boxed in and it's not great.
yes. Right. Yeah. But I would, yeah, thank you for that resource. Awesome.
I think the reason I suggest Tangram is because the front end is Webflow.
Cool. Okay.
We have a little
Yeah.
more control over it. But-
Amazing.
All
Okay.
right, awesome. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Awesome job, Katie.
CTO and me
She's
jumped
sounding
in there for a second. You get some free CTO advice there.
That's great. Brittany.
All right,
hi.
Brittany, do you have a
Hey.
deck that you want to share? I think there's another one. There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome, I found it.
Cool.
Yeah, so anytime you are ready, you are welcome to start presenting.
Thank you. My name is Brittany Lemke, and I'm here to pitch a startup called Centaurus Incorporated. Today's topic is about disaster response, but I'd like to first discuss Hurricane Ian. So this is a hazard loss model generated from the National Hurricane Center data. The left side shows the metrics used to assess the weather's severity, and the right side is the human implications as the event occurred. So this includes a estimated damage assessment of nearly $113 billion. In Lee County alone, over 52,000 buildings were damaged or destroyed. And across the United States, 9.5 million people lost power over the 3 days. At Centaurus, there is a global responsibility for proactive care in communities and environments susceptible to the climate change crisis. The standard practice for disaster recovery is implemented by federal, state, and local governments through the emergency management departments. However, this standard practice cannot be applied to the vastly changing environment and the consequences in real time. On the right is a model describing the household livelihood crunch model. And so this will be leveraged for sake of strengthening community-wide resistance here in the middle. A double burden is placed on those in poverty, but a comprehensive analysis of vulnerability and capacity will reduce the amount of risks associated with the severe hazardous events. It will also demystify the complex systems of policy, economics, culture, and ecosystem services. So just to recap, Centaurus is launching a single source global platform dedicated to meeting the needs of communities as they prepare for and recover from natural disasters. So if you have any further questions on the product or just want to chat with me, you can email me at centaurusinc@gmail.com. So thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, Brittany. All right, we're going to start off with Nicole this time. Nicole, do you have any questions for Brittany?
Yeah, thanks so much, Brittany. Appreciate the modeling you were doing there. So can you tell me just a little bit more about what the platform is going to do to enable communities to enhance their resilience and ability to respond to disasters?
Yeah, so my biggest assumption is that if we can really involve non-technical communities into like these high technical projects that are around environmental security and then also disaster response, then we will have a much larger basis for resources and workforce and even like material generation. And so the platform itself will function as a communication pathway. So anybody can kind of hop on there. They can create an account if they want to like register a product or not a product, a project. And anybody in the world can interact with it through a GIS map. And so it can be evaluated using different types of remote sensing technology as well, like satellite imagery and historical evaluations and so on.
Okay, so it'll be a communication platform that enables folks to communicate around actions and programs and projects that are happening to build resilience. Do I have that right?
Yes, and it will also distinguish between like jurisdictions. So cities and like unincorporated land have different rules and regulations associated with development, and so it's more to give these non-technical people that want to enact change like the easiest way of doing it, and doing it as like an educative or education kind of form as well.
Okay. And what is the is there a profit generation component to this, and what does that look like?
Yes, it is going to be profit based off of contracts, so it'll be bootstrapped, and then any type of scale will be through typically like different counties or cities. My primary market right now is local government, and then my ideal customer though is the non-technical consumer.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Super. Kyle, do you have any questions for Brittany?
Yes, thank you, Brittany. Appreciate the presentation. So my question is, are you doing or anticipate doing anything in addition to communities that have been redlined historically, communities that have been underserved and forgotten through various states and government programs? Are you anticipating doing anything in addition for those communities? Because those communities are usually ones that fall off the wayside and don't get the proper resources, the care, or the support that they need.
Yeah, so this initial product is pretty much entirely software right now, but I would like to do in-person projects for sake of ecosystem restoration and all types of remediation strategies. For those communities, it would have to be funded mostly through grants, as opposed to like a contract with an organization, just because they don't necessarily have the resources to fund that. Another component is also, but this is much more like long term, is hardware. So low cost devices that people could install in their homes for sake of understanding how much rainfall they got or what type of UV index they're experiencing, like in their own backyard, and so on. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And in terms of working with, I guess, state and local government offices, what do you anticipate the lift there to be to partner with them, or what does that partnership eventually look like on your end?
Mostly working with emergency management. I've been a part of Florida Emergency Preparedness Association for about 18 months now, and I actually went to the mid-year conference last year, and it was in Fort Myers, and then a month later Ian hit and wiped out. They don't have like a city hall to date. They don't have, a lot of people lost their homes. My cousin lives there. He lost his home. And so it's definitely, because they have the primary responsibility, it will be mostly with them, but it definitely comes into play of like interoperability with EPA and, city councilors and, really getting around the jurisdictions and understanding those regulations.
Great, thank you. And last question, I guess, when do you anticipate having a platform pilot ready for testing and additional feedback loop gathering?
Yeah, with funding, I could have a beta application probably within 6 months, just because I already have a few logical frameworks that have been built out. It's just more a matter of getting in deep with the code and the software behind it.
Okay, great. That's it for me. Thank you again.
Thank you, Kyle. Rio, you get to back clean up here. Do you have any questions for Brittany?
Yeah, thanks, Brittany. In terms of like feature prioritization, you can kind of risk, you could build everything, and then it becomes a situation where it's, that's probably not the best place to start, where you build everything and then try to figure out what sticks, as opposed to figuring out kind of like what's the lowest hanging fruit in terms of solutions. Based on kind of what you've done, the research that you've done, the conversations that you've had, what do you think is the lowest hanging fruit in terms of a feature that you think would be super additive, at least in the beginning, right? Not the long-term vision, but just the sort of the beginning thing that you start with that gets a lot of either user growth or user engagement on the platform.
Yeah, actually, I have been having conversations with the Suncoast Sierra Club, and they expressed interest in a type of like GIS platform that would help differentiate between the jurisdictions in Pinellas County. And that's because they have 3 pretty large cities, but all of them kind of have their own ordinances and jurisdictions. And so they have a few different committees that do work all around Pinellas County. And they expressed interest in having some sort of platform that somebody could go onto and see what volunteer days are, where they're located, or if there's like some sort of political action thing happening regarding, EPA or regulations in that sense.
Yeah, I almost wonder, like, this is very low fidelity, but it's a place to start. I almost wonder if there is something like a shared calendar feature, or like a like jurisdictional calendar, where a lot of this is just like, I don't know what's happening at what time, what place, and who the key stakeholder is. And that's like half the battle. So what I've seen end up happening is that it's endless numbers of websites or endless numbers of spreadsheets, as opposed to one unifying calendar where you could say these jurisdictions are focused on these either priorities or legislative priorities, or they're actually doing these events, and this is kind of what's going on. Imagine that would be pretty like a high value add for local governments, right? That are collaborating with the local governments. Otherwise, like, everything's like siloed into email, frankly, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a good place to start from, like the B to G, the government side of it, as opposed to the consumer side of it. Cool. And then in terms of like development, are you trying to build a native platform? Would you use no-code tools? Like, how do you actually think about building this product out?
Definitely, if you mean like native by as in like do it yourself, I do plan it to be like an all-encompass software. Like, I wouldn't want to use no-code tools. I would want it to be fully integrated, like front end and back end, just because there is a lot of math that I want to do with satellite imagery, and I want that to go along with the kind of storytelling of like, these are, environmental initiatives, these are the jurisdictions that are, frontlining it, and then here is like the latest understanding of what we can get out of it. So it would have to be all built out.
Got it. Okay. And then last question for me, and I think Kyle touched on this a little bit, but natural disasters are obviously difficult to predict kind of what the impact is. And then when the impact is large, it's also difficult to understand kind of like what help looks like. Are there smaller starting points that are not sort of like natural disaster relief that you think would give you like meaningful insight into how to then build the larger vision of this?
Yeah, actually, there is a community in the northern side of Hillsborough County, which is where I live, and they bought a domain that's called protectkeystone.com, and they are trying to fight a developer that just tore down a bunch of land for sake of building houses. And this community that's out there, they're rural, and they are very angry about it. They love their land. And so they weren't able to stop the development, but now they are in a lawsuit with Hillsborough County, and that just kind of like sidetracks the whole point of, the protectkeystone.com. And so that's kind of another avenue of like, if you developed all of this area, what risk are you imposing for those communities to have like greater flood damage or, higher wind impacts, just because all the trees are gone and all the roots aren't soaking up the water and so on.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Rio, for the final question. What I'm going to do is, I think I'm doing the math right, and I can pull up the other 4 presenters without StreamYard causing us any grief. Who am I missing here? Katie. I think that's everybody. So first off, thanks for all the pitch companies for presenting today. I know you guys are early in your journey, so that's always tricky, but good job from everyone. And thank you to the judges for participating. You're always so critical. And Leah and Tim and Jack, thank you so much for your partnership on this. We look forward to future events with you if that's beneficial. Is there anything? Let's see. So I'm going to put all the pitch companies back in for 1 sec. See, I did that right. There we go. All right. So this is where you guys get a chance to tell us if there's anything you're working on that you want help with, or if you have anything you want to plug. So why don't we start with Rio? Is there anything going on that you want to tell us about and the world should come to?
Yeah, no, we run founder residencies twice a year. So we bring founders in person in one of our locations. It's either Austin, Boulder, or New York. And the next residency we have is October 10th. So actively recruiting folks starting in mid-July for founders that are interested in kind of like the pre-seed on-ramp into being a venture-backed founder. So take a look on the website at antler.co, but that's kind of what we do. And that's our bread and butter, at least in the US. And thank you.
Terrific. Nicole, how about yourself?
Sure. We're always open to exploration with potential partners and clients and climate entrepreneurs who are interested in pushing their impact further with the use of really outstanding design. So also trying to help the design community be empowered with tools that allow them to build impact considerations directly into the design process. So anybody's interested in connecting with us on any of those fronts, you can reach out either to me directly, or you can check out our website, allelodesign.com. It's ALLELO. Like, hello, I'm from Alelo.
God, you're challenging my language skills here.
Thanks for that.
Well, we'll make sure that we try to put it in the show notes if we can. All right. And Kyle, how about you? Anything you're working on that you want to plug or that people should pay attention to?
No, other than the fact that continue to stay plugged in with what's happening in your communities and your climate actions and directions that you can take to continue to make the planet a better place for all of us, and continue to stay plugged in with startup founders and events and pitch competitions. I know that there's a newsletter that comes out of specifically for Colorado events that it's I believe it's called just Startup Events and News in Colorado. So there's a lot of events happening, and just stay plugged in and hopefully continue to participate and promote all the startup founders that are doing great work.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your help today. Leah, you get a chance here to tell us all about what you want people to do with Crowdsolve.
Sure. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for today. It was really great. Thank you again, judges. Such good questions and just so thoughtful. We so appreciate you. For Crowdsolve, we are always looking for more climate innovators, and folks can join at crowdsolve.eco. For free, you get access to the kind of initial curriculum as well as some feedback, and then you get to join community events, and then stay tuned for more boot camps and mini camps and other programming where we help accelerate founders to move through the venture development process together in community and a little bit faster. And then hopefully we connect them over to Rio and other partners where we can help those early stage founders take the next step in their journey and get into an accelerator program. And ultimately it's all designed to just bring more climate founders to the world and bring their ideas to life so that we can collectively, fight the climate crisis and have a greener, cleaner future. So that is what we are all about. And we just appreciate the, engagement from our community and also from our mentors as well. We're always looking for more mentors too. So all of applications, all of the things to kind of access Crowdsolve and joining this growing community can be found on crowdsolve.eco. So more of these to come. And Michael, just thanks again so much. And thanks again, judges. So great to have you all here. And big kudos, I'm sure we'll bring them back, but to the founders. Just so much progress was made in 4 weeks. And I'm super excited to see the ongoing progress as they continue on their journey.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate your partnership on this. Let me think of what I got to plug here. So we got a few things going. So Founders Pack is obviously the community that we partnered with Crowdsolve on this particular event. The reason that we're partnering with this is because we're hoping this is just the first of many pitch events that aren't just specific to Founders Pack. I mentioned before that we've partnered with Tangram, which Paris's episode is actually on the Wolfcast. So if you haven't already subscribed to our newsletter/podcast, it's called the Wolfcast on Beehive. And you'll see Paris and Tangram on there, as amongst other Y Combinator, Techstars, Hustle Fund type founder interviews, and VCs and angels. I do want to invite anyone that is on the platform right now that is a judge. If you think that you would like to do an episode, please let us know. And then as far as pitch events, we are working on launching, I think I mentioned before, it's Demo Day. And that's really a home for all of our online pitch events and all of those of all of our partners. As well as an MVP marketplace. So if someone is a SaaS company and they're pitching VCs or angels on the platform, you can actually go over to the MVP marketplace and then, kind of show your support and buy some sort of a deal for the product. So it's kind of like helping with validation. And then I'll mention a couple dates. July 20th, we have our second Mastermind Ask Me Anything online. The AMA guest is Matt McGarry, and Matt is known as the expert in growing newsletters with paid ads. He's grown things like Contrarian Thinking and the Hustle Trends and 1440, and now his own newsletter operator. So we're looking forward to having Matt on there. And then founders that are accepted into that or are members of Founders Packs, we do have a membership. They will then break out into 4-person masterminds and get a chance to have some peer feedback on an idea or challenge they're working on. And then we do have a couple of in-person events. We have July 13th in Los Angeles. We have an event that you can check out there that is in partnership with Betterly and Gametree. And then July 26th in Austin at our Austin Founders Pack house in South Lamar, we're partnered with Founders Cupid on an event there, which is an ATX Summer Bash. So we got a few things going on. The easiest way to follow all that is probably just to subscribe to our newsletter. And if you check out our Twitter, you'll see a link to that. Thank you to judges and our partners at Crowdsolve. And if there's nothing else, then we can probably close the books on this particular pitch event and look forward to our next one.
Amazing.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate everybody.
Thanks so much. Congrats again, founders. Nice job. Thank you, Michael. Thanks, judges.
Thanks, everyone.